Kate with Hello Skelo, and I've got my friend AnnMarie on today. So I just wanted to go over the mission again because that is literally the most important. It's the end all with this company. The mission of Hello Skelo is to bring light, hope, and transparency to all taboo subjects. So that includes addiction, eating disorders, mental health, if you're a victim of domestic violence, sex trafficking, like all those things that nobody wants to talk about. And we're going to talk about them all and just the solution that we find and how people got through them. So I'm going to ask AnnMarie about what she deals with on a daily basis and how she does that and kind of the backstory. So AnnMarie, I'm so excited to have you on. So what's your thing? Like, what are we talking about today?
So I guess addiction would probably be my main catalyst for
and we
growth.
can talk about them all.
Yeah, we can talk about that. There's a lot of things. You
Yeah.
know, with addiction comes a number of other dependencies that you learn about as you tackle that one. It's kind of like a bit of a whack-a-mole, but
Whack-a-mole, I like.
yeah.
So I guess so. We met, but I was talking to you before this. And this is why I love this because it's literally an opportunity to have like a really in-depth, real conversation about you and get to know you.
Right.
So you're obviously from Boston.
That's right. Obviously.
And I guess what was your first experience or even the feelings up to that with either, was it drugs first or alcohol that you tried first?
Probably both at the same time.
Okay. And do you remember how old you were?
13.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the setting leading up to that? Was it like you consciously did it or you were at a party and it just happened?
Well, I was the youngest of 4 and I grew up with 2 Irish immigrant parents.
Okay.
And at that point my dad had already taken off, so my mom, has this big house and 4 children. So I was kind of like raised by my older siblings.
How much older were they than you?
I'm the youngest of 4, so they're within 5 years.
Okay, so
that's a
so
lot.
you're all right there together.
Yes. Yeah. They're within 7 years. Who knows?
Okay.
But
Who knows?
something like that.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah,
girl.
we're all pretty much close. And
Okay.
like, my sister's an Irish twin. We're like, we're pretty close in age,
Okay.
just over a year. So yeah, so they were just, being young and like having parties and I didn't really know what was going on and like I was just like, okay, cool, this is what we're doing.
Let me try.
Yeah.
Everyone else is doing it.
The first drug I did was I did a tab of acid because just get right in there.
I was gonna say. Let me just dive into the deep end.
Well, like drinking and smoking weed, like especially smoking weed, like there's like an action to it. When I was like, I just have to put this here under my tongue. It seemed easier, and I had a good experience. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm glad. We're not gonna lie on this.
Yeah, no.
So it was fun. It started off being fun.
Yeah, and by 14, I had a full blown like 5 to 10 benzo a day habit.
Shit. How did that progression happen? Like after you took the acid and you were like, this is awesome, and it made you feel good. Throughout that year, were you like, I just want to find all the things that make me feel good?
I don't know. It's hindsight's 2020. Now I look back on it and I realize that like I probably was seeking some sort of comfort, which I didn't really have, and my parents did the best they could.
For sure.
And I learned that through the steps that like I have no regrets on the way I was raised. But I think I was seeking some sort of warmth or love or comfort that I didn't necessarily have a lot of as a kid. My mom's like, working 3 jobs, raising 4 children.
Hustling her face off.
Yeah, which that's where I get it from.
Yeah, I was
So
just gonna
mom.
say. So is this from your mom because you hustle your face off?
Yes.
Which we will absolutely get to later.
Yes.
And a big reason why I needed you on here because like it's so clear. Like you're such a light, but because you work your ass off.
I just don't know
I just really
any
respect
other
that.
way, So I think I was just seeking that like warmth and comfort, and I had all American friends, and their parents would be like, "Where are you? Are you gonna be home for curfew? It's just dinner time. You're not here." And my parents were like, my mom was just like,
Well, she-
like working. So
Yeah, she couldn't like that's what she was managing to put
Yeah.
like food and a roof over your table.
Right.
She couldn't be managing like an agent for 5 kids too.
Right, exactly. So I was like, all right, cool. So I think in hindsight, I learned a lot, you know, and I thought I was depressed, and maybe I was, or maybe I was just a teenager. Like,
It's hard to put like
yeah,
it's hard to I mean, it was so long ago too.
I know, and like, who even knows? Like, I was
Right.
putting so much stuff into my body. So I was still a great student. And you know, by my senior, I was super young for my grade too. So when
Okay.
I was a freshman, I was 13, and I graduated high school. I was 17.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, so I was super young for my grade, so I kind of didn't fit in. I was a little underdeveloped, and
Yeah.
you know, I just wasn't there yet. And I don't know. It's so funny because the people that you know, we got sober with here, like, used to come to my house to party, and I was like a good kid compared to like my
Them.
siblings. Like, they were like, we never thought you had a problem, you know.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it kind of didn't like take off until my later years, because I was always around people doing worse than me, which is definitely my MO. I love a little sickie next to me. I love when
So the attention's not on you.
yeah, I love it. I do it in the workplace. I do it in friendships. I do it everywhere. And this is a sober behavior I have too.
Right.
Where I'm like,
Dude, this
let me tell
insight-
you how to run your life, you
Right.
know?
Yep. Oh, this is why I love you too. Like the insight and the perspective that you clearly are doing so much internal work on, and you're able to see is life. Like it's life.
I know. I mean, it's a lot. I really didn't realize this behavior, but like until
Look at
way
me getting all
later.
comfortable. I'm like,
This is life.
this is life, girl.
But like, yeah, I mean, if you were smoking rock and I was sniffing limes, I would literally be like, do you want me to call for help tomorrow? It's like 4:30 in the morning. I'm like starting to throw shades up, like black curtains up on the windows.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
like,
think you
I'll
need to-
help you.
Yeah. I've called, and rehab is coming for you.
Yes, exactly. Like, I just was that. My sister was a heroin addict at about 18, so it was really, like, my shit really was not a big deal.
Right. And that's probably how you just skated by for so long
Right.
without the attention. Like, what's going on? What's going on with AnnMarie?
Right. And I don't know if you noticed, but I've noticed a pattern with people from Boston, especially the ones that transfer here, is that, like, I realize in doing this, I'll speak about myself, how about that? I realize in doing the steps that I skated by, I should say doing a program, I skated by on, like, knowing people and, like, getting myself opportunities through just knowing people. And I never really had to try. I realized that when I got sober, I was like, all that stuff that you did, AnnMarie, had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And I realized that none of it was from actual skill. And I was like a little shook by that. Like, I spent like a while on that where I was like, man, that had nothing to do with you and how great you are, AnnMarie. Like, that had everything to do. And I see it happen with a lot of people from Boston that transplant elsewhere. It's like, we just like, it's such a tight-knit city that like you just get opportunity from like knowing people and nothing, and being likable too. Nothing to do with your smarts or your skills or anything.
Right.
Likability is like
Top.
that can take you anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's a good
It
skill
is.
to have.
It is, for
but
sure.
it's a little insidious.
Yeah, because you can use it as a catalyst, and then all of a sudden, everyone's going here, and you're stuck here. And on like, I actually relate to that. When I did a geographic and I moved from California to Idaho to go to college, and really the only reason why was to get away. I just didn't want to see people that I drank and like blacked out in front of and did weird things. And also because it was the only school that accepted me. I mean, I didn't even have the wherewithal to think like, I'm gonna apply to college. I just was so deep in my addiction at that point, I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And when I went there, like, I would get, and my parents would say like, you keep getting these opportunities, but opportunity without like and I would base all of my, you know, successes off of things that people would give me based off my parents' relationship or who
Right.
they were,
Right.
or because I was a good athlete when I was younger. Then when I went to Boise, nobody knew me, nobody knew my family,
Right.
and I was like, meow.
Yeah.
And people started looking at me. Well, first of all, from California, like, who's this spoiled bitch that literally always has a drink in her hand?
Right.
And then people didn't even want to hang out with me because I was just always blacked out.
Because you weren't genuine.
No, I was like, I couldn't even go. Oh, that feeling, man. I couldn't even go anywhere. I would always have a bottle of champagne in the shower before I would even go to a party. So it was no wonder that I would have a couple drinks and black out.
Right.
But they're like, she can't even handle her liquor.
Right.
But it was just so not genuine because I didn't know who I was. I was so lost.
I know.
So I relate to that.
Yeah, and I had a similar experiences, you know, because I took my SATs, hungover, was throwing up on the way there, and I was 14 years old when I took my SATs.
14.
Yeah. I was a sophomore in high school, and I was like, just all pretty much still drunk from the night before.
Yeah.
And then the year of the retake, so my junior year when I was 15, I was like too hungover to even go, and I had gotten a good enough score where I was like, that's fine. I'm gonna
Right.
go to UMass, and it's the biggest party school in the nation. Like, cool, I'm
there.
fine. And my parents, they always wanted me to get an education. However, like in terms of like my AP exams or my SATs or my athletic fees or whatever, I had to pay for all that stuff myself. My parents weren't like, honey, when is your athletic fees due? Like, my parents were like, we're paying the mortgage.
Right.
And my mom moved to London when she was 13 and became a registered nurse there, and then came to the States when I think she was 18. And
So she paid for everything.
and yeah, and when she was 18, and then became a registered nurse here for 35 years with like a 7th grade education. So like in terms of me being like, Mom, can I have $50 so I can play soccer? Like, she's like, get a job.
Yeah.
Like,
Nope.
Yeah. And I respect
And get
that.
a calendar. So do
I
I.
respect that a lot because she wasn't, I had to figure it out, you know, and sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, you know. But that was my journey, you know. So I just went to that state school, and I was like, you know, ran around in the city. So I was kind of like, I was in the woods, and I was like, what is all this? So of course I adapted and became like such a stoner, like hippie, like boho. Like, I've had so many different, like, I look back at like my trajectory, and I'm like,
Of like your
so,
style.
like how I just like fit in everywhere. I just,
Well, because you're so likable and you have that. Do you think, I mean, looking back now, do you think that was because of everything and all the things you felt because of your like drug addiction and alcoholism?
Yeah, I'm super adaptable.
Yeah.
Super adaptable. And it's an asset now, you know, that
I was just gonna
you
say
can put
that.
me in one room over here with this type of people and one room over here with this type of people, and I'll figure it out.
Yep.
You can drop me anywhere in the US and I will be, or anywhere in the
And
world.
you'll make friends.
Yeah, I'll be fine. And like, I respect that. Now, I didn't always understand it, but now that I kind of understand it, I'm like, that's a really good skill to have.
It absolutely is.
Because I met a lot of people in Long Beach that are like, I've never left Long Beach. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, maybe we should just crawl out a little
Try,
bit.
yep.
You know?
Meet new people, try new things.
Yeah, and recently, you know, I was supposed to move to Ireland July
yeah.
15th, but my passport got held up, and a lot of people were like, how are you gonna do that? You're just gonna move. And it's like, I kind of had to take a look at whether I was running or if I truly, genuinely like my back against the wall. And I think I just do. I think I like growth, change, adaptation. I think I like those things.
Yep.
Like, I feel a little stagnant if I stay doing the same thing or in one place for 2 years. I do. That's my window.
Yep. And knowing that, and you wouldn't know that unless you took a leap of faith and just
Right.
went.
I know.
And I bet you had like, because sometimes I think of things like doing this. I was in so much fear, and then I had to have some people encourage me and say, if you don't do it, you're going to be in fear your whole life. But if you show up, and even if you fail,
Right.
But if you keep trying, and just, I mean, the stress that I felt is like trumped by the connection and all the things that people and things that God is putting in my life, because I'm just stepping out.
Right.
And like I mean, I don't know, it's hard to decipher, am I running or am I just stepping into the light?
Right.
And like, but you won't know until you go.
No.
So go.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. And, you know, when I got a retail spot from my spray tanning business, it was across town. The location was not ideal, but it did something for my spirit. Like going there and getting the business thing, certificate or whatever it is, permit from the town hall or city hall, right? And then like getting the keys to the place. Like even though I didn't end up staying with that path, it like did something for me inside that was like, okay, now I have experience with that. So if I'm to do it again, I would do it this way.
Yep.
Right? And it's just those little things is like just doing it.
Yeah. It showed you you're capable.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that wasn't actually that hard.
Right.
But if I'm left to my own devices and I think about things for so long,
yeah,
then I'll talk myself out of them.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I have to, and that's why it's so important for me to like surround myself with people that are going to call me out and be like, you've been sitting on this for so long.
Right.
It's either you do it or you don't.
Yeah.
It's like you just give up before you even start, or you just jump.
Right.
Okay, so question for you.
Okay.
So, and we can fast forward a little bit too, but when you were at college, were you able to, did you graduate? Were you able to do well even doing drugs and alcohol?
No, I wasn't able to do well. I pretty much just decided that my first semester, I was like, I'm just not going to go to class. I'm just going to drink tequila in my room. And I didn't go to like not one class, I think. I might have went the first week.
I love you.
And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to take a little break.
I need a break from life.
I need a break. Like I'm 17. I need a break. Like, hello.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got like the threatening letters from the university, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a thing. And no one was there to be like, this is gonna affect your GPA long term, so you should probably consider your, like, there was no one guiding me.
Yeah, you didn't know.
So I was just like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Jose Cuervo.
Yeah. I'm just gonna have a break. Oh,
yeah.
God, that is the worst. Anytime anyone says that, I start salivating.
I know. Yeah.
Because I never drank it like on ice or neat. Was like sipping. It was like, all right, who's doing shooters? And waking up like on my deathbed.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Or like waking up and like opening the door to the dorm and being like, what hallway am I in?
Yeah,
where am I?
Yep.
Who are you?
That is
like, you know,
those are the flashbacks.
Yeah. But as you will have it, I ran into opportunity, you know, my fourth year in college, and I got an internship at Fenway Park. And
Shut up. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I worked in Major League Baseball for a lot of years. And until my drinking got too much, then I decided I was going to retire. Yeah, I was like, I'm just going to retire and go back to bartending and waiting tables. It's fine. Everything. I just need a break.
How old were you when you were going to retire?
26. 26.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we didn't know each other
I
back then,
know.
because I would have pulled out like, well, I didn't have any money, but I would have retired with you.
Yeah.
It would have been the best idea we had ever had.
Oh, it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
You know, and my boyfriend at the time, who was a one night stand that I met at a Dropkick Murphys concert, who like 3 years later I was like, you're still here, okay. That's how I roll. And you know, he totally co-signed it, you know. And
oh yeah.
we were just like living in my mom's basement at that point. My drug habit was just like skyrocketed, but yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of things in life, but I was like, again, it was just never because like I'm a hard worker, so I can get by, even though I'm like, I used to be like in my drinking, they'd be like, AnnMarie's definitely going to be late, but she's going to show up and she's going to work hard. So like I kind of got a lot of leeway with that, like a lot. more.
Because you just have that.
Yeah, so
they let you, they're like, it's all right, she's 30 minutes late, she might smell like alcohol, but she's gonna work her ass off when
she's
she
gonna
gets
get
here.
it done.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm a doer. Like, you know, they trusted that I was gonna get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the trajectory there, which was interesting.
Yeah.
So once I like retired and decided I was just gonna like wait tables, it was slowly winding down for me, you know?
You didn't graduate?
Yeah, I did.
I'm impressed because
I don't know how.
I didn't. Because I literally at the end of it was just going to the ER all the time in Boise, Idaho, because I would like wait. Of course, professional procrastinator. I would drink during the week all day.
You need a note.
Yeah, I needed a note. Yeah, and also I would be like, well, okay, I have a final tomorrow. I'm just gonna take like 7 Adderall, and then I'll stay up all night because they stopped working. You know, 1 didn't work, 2 didn't work. It would just make me edgy.
Yeah.
So I needed that like light to turn on. So I was just like, well, I had taken so many that my heart was palpitating like out of my freaking chest. It was like 2 a.m. and I was paranoid. I was like, I thought somebody was at the front door. So I crawled up the stairs, woke my roommate up who had like, she was done with me. I had her drive me to the ER, and this was towards the end for me. And just calling my parents, and they were like, well, what's wrong? And I was like, I just have anxiety. And the nurse was like, she took like a lot of Adderall actually. But I was just trying to, manipulate and lie.
Of
Something's
course.
wrong with me. But thank God that I came home, because I was just wasting time and money, and who knows what would have happened.
Right.
But
I know.
it's just so crazy to think about all those things.
Like, that's how my brain worked, though. I was like, I have an exam. Okay, so that means I need like 12 Red Bull, like 42 Adderall, like and then I'll just need a nice fat bag of weed after to like come down, like couple Valium.
Yeah.
Like everything was so like
and you're
scheming.
planning in the scheme of like how to do that. If we like now, it would be like, okay, instead of planning, I'm gonna need like what is the Trader Joe's like Chuck Buck wine or $2 Chuck Buck, whatever the heck it is.
$2 Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck Buck. Now it's like, okay, looking back, my scheme would be, so Monday I can't, watch my show, or Monday I'm not gonna work out, or I'm gonna work out, because I'm gonna spend 2 hours a day studying. Like the amount of effort that I used to put into scheming, and like what I was gonna do to get loaded, and how I was gonna pass a test, and which drug dealer, which person I needed to come over to like give me the weed or the Adderall to suppress my anxiety so I could do the test. But then the test would come and go.
Right.
And then it was like I would do the same thing over and over and over.
I know.
It's crazy.
The insanity.
Yeah.
And like I just never really had like the hindsight to like take a look at any of that,
When you're in it, and I mean, I speak for myself, but like when I was in it, I thought that I was getting away with it.
Yeah.
Did you too?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
it's the only way I knew how to live.
Right. I couldn't see I couldn't take into account anybody else's feelings ever, and I was like kind of like a martyr / victim. Like I wouldn't get victim-y like, oh, well, my life's so hard, but I would be like a martyr victim and be like, you don't understand. Like we're like,
oh yes,
in that sense, it was more like a bossy victim. Where I would just be like, you're just way too sensitive. Like we're just all out here living, and oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Okay, so take me to where, like, fast forward through all that, when you came out here, like, where is your life at now? What changed? How much work have you done? Was the work easy? Like, and you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you roll, because, and that's another thing, like, the transparency. I think that people think, like, oh, you're sober now, so you had addiction, you had a self-will problem.
Right.
But like, that is not the truth at all. So tell me about that.
So I came out here, I was obviously way different, and if you think I talk funny now, you should have heard me 3.5 years ago. Ridiculous. And I came into a rehab in Santa Monica, and
I didn't know that.
I was just like, I just like heard the tweakers outside the door screaming all night, and I was just like, I can't leave here, like, cause I don't know anyone, and I had to be ripped out of like all my comfort zones because like I'll like leave detox cause like I have laundry to do, like I'll give any excuse, you know, or I gotta go to work. That's my favorite one. They need me, like, don't you know? They need me. The place would fall apart without me, like clearly. I'm like cleaning tables or something. Like, you know,
but like any excuse to leave rehab.
I know. And so then I got out of rehab, and I located to Long Beach into a sober living facility. And after about 2 months, a family member was just like, I can't pay your rent, and I couldn't get a job, and he was like, just come move with me. And I was like, great idea, this is fine, I'm probably not ready, but it's gonna be fine.
Oh, you had that thought?
Yeah.
Of like you shouldn't do it, but you did it anyways?
Yeah.
I done that before, and then I relapsed.
Yeah. And then it was about to be Easter Sunday, which was I had gotten a little job waiting tables, and I got my first paycheck. And it was supposed to be Easter Sunday brunch, and busiest day of the year for the restaurant I worked at. And I was like, you know what, I just need to get a good night's sleep. You know what would be great? Some heroin. Like, I just need to take a nice nap. No one will know. My family member was in Florida, and I was like, this is fine.
Okay, they were gone. I was like,
Yeah.
were they home? Nope.
And so I get on Craigslist, and I'm like, and then I like make up this whole lie about who I was, and then the guy's like, send me your Facebook profile. And I was like, here's the thing, I lied about my name, where I was, what I was doing here, blah, blah, blah. I was like, sorry, I lied about all those things, here's my Facebook profile.
Right.
And he's like, and I had never done black tar, so I didn't know what it was or how much I needed. And he was like, do you need rigs? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I think I'm just gonna smoke it, but bring them anyway. You
Right.
know?
Be prepared, because I need this to work, and
But
I
like
need to
just
feel.
in case, 2
Right.
for $5, great.
Wait, okay, quick question. How did you know he wasn't like the cops or anything?
I didn't know. And I like met him outside,
Okay.
and he was
He
just
came to your house.
where I was living. Yeah, I like gave him a false address,
Okay.
obviously, and like ran across the street.
Yeah.
And I was
Obviously.
and he was so fucking dusty and like in this beater car, and I was just like, this is fine, everything's fine about
I'm
this
gonna get what I
situation.
want though.
Yeah, so I like got a can, like a
I'm
soda
like
can.
involved in this.
Yeah,
by the
I
way.
got a soda can, and I like did the old school, like, you know when you're like fucking young and you like no one has anything to smoke out of it, you do the soda can thing. I did that with black tar. I took like one hit, and I was like, and it was just like, I felt like I was smoking charcoal, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. We're just gonna shoot it. So it was so intense. I was coughing for like 30 minutes.
Really?
And then I ended up overshooting the mark, of course, because I had never done black tar. We just don't have it where I'm from. And I overdosed, you know? So I had like 5.5 months sober. That was the longest I've ever been sober, mind you, in my life, since I was 13. And
But nobody was there. Was the guy there?
no one was there.
So how were you like?
I just fell out, and when I woke up in the morning, I had like no feeling in my left arm and right leg.
Oh my gosh.
And I just remember, and I was on the floor, and I like looked around, and I was like, fuck. So I called the woman from a fellow from the program, and who had moved me in the day before. And I was like, girl, I was like, something happened, I need help, can you come over? And she came over, and she took one look at me and called 911. And once again, I'm in the ICU for the second time in 6 months since I've been in California. And I'm like, don't tell anyone. But I was in rough shape just from one shot, like rough shape. Still, like, I didn't get feeling back in my like arm or leg for like at least 30 days.
Oh my god, how scary.
I was like trying to bartend, and I would be like trying to cut the lime. It was horrible.
Oh my gosh! Looking back now, it's like you can laugh at that.
I know.
Thank goodness. I mean, thank goodness you didn't die.
I know. And then I crawl back to the woman that was helping me in program, and this she was like 78 years old, and I'm like, oh no, I did it again, and what do I do? And she's like, are you gonna die? Like if you do that again? And I'm like, yeah, for sure, 1,000% gonna die. I can't do this again. And this 70, I think she was 76, 77 at the time, she just looked me dead in the eyes and goes, throws her head back, laughs at me and goes, God's not gonna take you. And I was like, oh my God, ma'am. And she's like, you've already established your primary purpose to stay sober and help another. So until you do that, he's not gonna take you. You're gonna live a slow, miserable, alcoholic existence till it's your time. And I was like, what?
Somebody fed you the truth.
Someone fed me the truth.
But
Someone fed me the truth.
That's exactly what you needed. And I had somebody say, it's actually who I respect the most, and they're still in my life, because I needed that, and it was
right.
It catapulted me into reality.
Yeah.
And outside of me.
Ugh. Because you hear all the time that you're gonna die. Like if you keep going on like this, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. Good. Dying's the goal for me.
Right.
So send it. Like you got something that's like always gonna take me out. Great. I want 5.
Yeah.
Like let's be sure.
Oh my gosh. So is this what like made you kind of realize that?
Yeah, I felt backed into a corner, and I respected this woman.
Yeah.
If someone 40 years younger was gonna tell me that, I would have been like, what do you know?
Yeah.
Right. But like this woman had like been through a lot, and to see her like just feed me that truth of you wouldn't be so lucky to die. I was like shook.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I better do this thing.
Yep.
I better do this thing.
Damn.
Yep.
Okay. And where are you at today? Like what's your view of yourself now? And like how do you deal with life?
Yeah.
And let's talk about also how sober are you? Like how long have you been sober now?
Like almost 3.5 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. I know, wild.
That's awesome.
So wild.
We're so close.
I know.
We're literally so close.
I know.
So if I ever have a day where I'm like, I think I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna call you, and I need you to feed me that truth.
Absolutely. Because I won't be that lucky, and I know that now.
Me too. Because
I never was. I was always in these very dangerous situations that, I know I have a purpose greater than that, So, I mean, I don't know, like sobriety's been a wild ride, year one, you're kind of, I used to hate the analogy like, oh, you're 2 now, you're a toddler, you're learning. But it's so true.
It is so true. I used to hate it too. I was like,
I'm an
adult. I'm doing things.
Right?
But like
deal with year one, I was like learning to walk and talk and look people in the eye.
100%. And actually just learn to show up.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do that. I don't think I ever had a job longer than a couple months after I started drinking. Because if I felt like I didn't want to go that day, not because necessarily I was drinking or doing drugs, just because I didn't want to go. I wouldn't go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go, and I wouldn't even do like 2 weeks. I would just not go and not show up. And no wonder I didn't want to walk around Long Beach, because all these people that kept giving me opportunities, I was like, who?
Right.
They're like, Kate? I'm like, nope, not Kate. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like showing up, and then year 2, you're right, 100% a toddler.
Yeah, 100%. And you're a toddler, and you're
feel
like
your feelings. What?
Yeah, right. And you're learning how to say them out loud. You're like, I feel
good.
Good, and like you don't know, right? And like year 3, especially like COVID.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I do. Sometimes I feel like a toddler running around Target, just ripping things off the the racks. Like,
What's behind here?
I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I like this, I don't like this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
Tomorrow I might like this though.
yeah, and it's been just you know, I also started like pretty intense therapy earlier this year.
Hell yes.
Right?
I love therapy.
I know, and I was so against it. I was like, okay, getting sober is enough. I like had a very strong opinion that people in early sobriety should not go to therapy. I'm like, you don't even know who you are. What are you gonna talk about? Like, you know? And I was like, it's so intense. And like, I know, I get really just on these opinions of like, I know what's best for the universe, right? And, you know, I kind of pulled the trigger and went, and it's been the most enlightening experience that I've ever had, you know, where I'm actually evaluating my relationships and my relationship with myself and my patterns. And yeah, my therapist had me interview my dad, because she was like, what's the highest level of education your dad has? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, when did he come here? I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, what about your mom? I'm like, no idea. And it made me realize, like, I don't know anything about them. You know, we're Irish, we don't really like to, I'm not like, how was your childhood?
Right. What made you, Mom?
I know, right? So what was it for you?
Oh my gosh, that's so, I'm sure it was so enlightening.
Yeah, well, what she told me was, she goes, AnnMarie, I'm not asking you to go down the trauma spiral here, okay? She's like, she goes,
or the blame game.
Yeah, she's like, you'll understand how you operate in this world far greater if you do that. So whether it be the workplace, why do you always take on this certain role? In friendships, why are you always that one person? In romantic relationships, why do you always do these behaviors?
Yeah.
And I was like, I can get behind this. Let's do it. You know, because if you tell me that I have to like go back to kindergarten or my childhood and like go through the trauma or whatever, I'm through it. I'm not.
You're living in the present now.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, we all have it in different ways, and I just don't really, I don't know, like hark on that stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I love that.
Yeah. I know. So it was very enlightening. That's
so cool.
Yeah, I learned so much about my parents. Like, my dad basically left the minute he got his own pair of shoes. He's one of 10 or 11.
Where is he from?
Ireland as well.
Okay, and so he came to Boston, and then your mom too, from London?
Yes.
And they met there.
Yeah, they met in Boston.
Oh my gosh.
It's really strange.
So your extended family and stuff is in
Ireland. Yeah.
How fun.
Yeah.
So when this whole coronavirus shit goes, I mean, that's so cool you have family there.
Yeah, so I'm a citizen, which is why I was gonna go to Ireland, because I kind of, after doing this investigation.
Did you know you were a citizen?
No. Okay, so I have been talking about for 20 years, drunk on a bar stool, I'm gonna get my citizenship and I'm gonna do this, right? I called up the consulate sober and I'm like, hi, I wanted to see about getting my citizenship. And they're like, okay, was your mom from there? I'm like, yes. Is your dad from there? Yes. Do you have their birth certificates? Yes. Okay, you are a citizen. You don't have to do anything. I was like, this is what sobriety is like.
Oh my.
All these things that we're like, I'm just gonna get the courage to like do it, and then we do it, and it's like, yeah, no, you're fine.
100%.
Honestly.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, you just chalked up the things that we make in our head in sobriety, a huge deal.
Fear.
And then we do it and we're like this, like the first interview I had, I was in so much fear. I'm like, what if I don't ask the right questions? I mean, I had like a plan because I was like, I need to hit everything.
Yeah.
And then I just got in here and I said a quick prayer and I literally was like, I'm just gonna throw that away. And we just have a conversation.
Yeah.
And this is the most powerful because this is not a perfect YouTube channel. Like we're talking about gnarly things.
Yeah.
Or like what society thinks is gnarly, but we're just humans.
Right.
We just talk about our shit.
Right. And the more we talk about it, I feel like the more we uncover, right? Because like I'll forget that I was that drunk college kid, right? I'll forget that the experience that I had throwing up on the way to my SATs. I'll forget like all these things. I'll forget them.
Yep.
and I'll take on this, I'm this person now, and like I'll take on this persona that doesn't reflect my experiences, so it's ingenuine.
Yep.
So I constantly have to be in remembrance,
Yep.
which is why I'm so grateful to be helping others and walking them through the journey, because I never want to forget that.
Nope. If I forget that, and this is what I know, the one thing I know, like, closest to my heart and my soul, is if I forget, like, what I am, who I am, everything that's made, and everything that's made me, and my alcoholism, frankly. And I used to hate when people would say, I'm so grateful to be an alcoholic, but literally I am, because my coping skills, my perspective, I mean, is all because, like, God gave me this opportunity, you know, and it's like, and now I know myself. But there's always, I'm not ever gonna get to the point where I'm like, I know myself, and like, that's it, and I'm gonna teach everyone how to relate and how to speak and how to live their life. Dude, no.
Right.
Like, all I know is that I constantly need to be in action, and I constantly need to grow, and I need to be checked. Like, I also love therapy.
Yeah.
Like, I need therapy. I mean, not because I'm walking through life and I can't, like, deal with things. I need therapy because I need to grow. I cannot be, I'm just not one to be, like, content.
Right.
I mean,
I'm naturally insatiable, so
Yeah,
I like
just-
have to be
Yeah.
continuing to move, or I'll just be stale.
Me
And
too.
then that's part of being ingenuine as well, is being stale. It's like,
Yep.
that's not a reflection of who I am.
Right.
Right? And like, what sobriety has done for me and the work that I've done, it's like, it's cleared the wreckage of my past so that I could be a clear channel for the present. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And when I went through the work that I did with another woman, she was just like, this is just like a group of exercises that you complete, and you know, more will be revealed, but then you'll have tools. And I was like, because I had made it out to be like that I was Nostradamus and was gonna have to write like the next
Like,
life-changing thing.
Right.
I was, you know, because
Yeah.
that's how I build things up in my head, right?
Yeah.
And it's so not like that at all. I was
Yeah.
just like, okay, this is fine. Okay, cool. We're just doing some exercises.
Yep.
I can do that, you know? And
Just a little bit at a time.
yeah, just a little bit at a time.
Yep. I love
Imagine that.
I know. Not taking the whole world by storm at once,
I know.
which
Well-
is like what you wanted to.
And then I had all these feelings like, is that trauma? Like, should I be stuck on that? And I'm not. Is there something wrong with me that I'm not? And
oh, yeah.
you know, that whole thing. Yeah, I know. Mind blowing, right?
It's literally mind blowing.
But yeah, I don't know, like I'm so grateful to be an alcoholic, because I would sit there across from the psychiatrist and beg her to label me bipolar, schizophrenic. I'd be like, read me the definition. She'd be like, okay, this is the definition of schizophrenic. And I'd be like, that's me.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, no, it isn't.
Right.
And I'd be like, write it down. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Like, that's how much I was scared to be an alcoholic,
Yeah.
was that I was begging this woman to put a lifelong label on my condition to explain me.
Just so you knew, like, okay, all right, so this is what I do. This is the medicine that they give.
Right.
And that's, oh my God, I'm so
But
glad
you're
you
telling
said
me
that.
like, oh, I gotta do these set of exercises and like give an hour of my
Right.
day away, like, and sit in a room with other people.
And
I'm
you're
like,
hanging over
I'm
here.
like, I don't know about that, but like,
Lock me up.
but like, send me to the psych ward
Yeah.
and give me some meds. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like, literally, just so I had an explanation, you know.
Right.
And I am grateful to be an alcoholic, because like, that's it.
Yep.
It's so, it can be so simple.
It can be so simple. 10 years, man, it wasn't. I made it so complicated and so chaotic and so toxic. And for what? For what?
I mean, obviously that had to be like part of your journey and my
Oh,
journey
totally.
as well.
Exactly.
But it's like all the things that I've ever been really scared to do. Now I know when I'm scared to do something, I gotta do it.
Yep.
I gotta do it.
Yep. Yep.
Right? Like, you know, as long as there's not like, the, you know, in that gut, if it's like true
Trusting
fear, I'm like, okay, cool, true fear. Like, obviously, I'm not like, there's a sketchy guy over there, walk across the street anyway. Like,
Fear. Go.
I know, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not like gunning for it.
Yeah. You have enough like emotional intelligence now and like
Right.
mental stability to know the difference and to be able to trust your intuition and trust your gut. And then it's
Right.
like the more you do it and the more my fear turns into faith pretty quickly.
Right. And recently I've been doing a lot of transferring my energy. Like I kind of took a look around. I was like, wow, my program's really solid, but this isn't solid, and that's not solid, and that's not solid, and that's not solid, and that's not solid. All that stuff is stale. But my program is really strong. So, I was like, man, I gotta move some energy around here. So I made a decision. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave all my jobs, all of them. And I leave tomorrow to go to Boston, and then London, and then Boston again, and I don't know when I'm gonna return. And
Literally, you leave tomorrow?
Yeah. And I'm like, I just don't know. And I just had something came over me where it's just like, none of this stuff is serving you, AnnMarie. None of this stuff is serving you. You have to move your energy.
And I could cry right now.
I know.
Oh my gosh, I am just like, not necessarily proud, because that would be, but I'm just, I don't know. This is why I just love you so much, because you're not afraid to do any of these things, and I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, and since I moved my energy, when I said,
how long ago was this?
A couple weeks.
Okay.
When I decided,
a couple weeks, and now I'm leaving tomorrow.
I know. And so when I decided I need to move some energy around,
yeah,
the universe was just like, whoop, whoop, whoop. My friend who I work for doing digital marketing for up north, she was like, hey, I need some extra help, and I'm gonna give you this big raise, and can you, like $10 an hour raise, and you can work, it's a fully remote thing, and she's like, can you help me more? I'm like, just because I made the decision in my heart, and like just all these things line up for me, and I was in resistance of it, I just really was, and I had to let things go. It's really tough for me to let things go to make room for other things. So I felt like a little bit of a spiritual void there, or whatever.
I needed to hear that today.
I felt a little bit of a void, but so I call my spiritual advisor, and I'm like, what's happening? And he's like, you feel a vacuum because you're about to be pregnant with abundance. He's like, you have to clear that space if you want other good things to come in. And they're going to be all good things.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know if you kept them. Yeah.
Right. Because for a minute
and
there,
that's gotta be scary, and maybe even a little lonely, depending on what the relationships were, or whatever. But that is so. I'm so glad that you said that.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking about something like that recently.
Yeah.
And it's just the fear of like, well, what's gonna be there when it's gone?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what he told me was. And a lot of them were like, I had a romantic relationship, and he was like, your creative power is being channeled here through this romantic relationship, and if you take that away, you don't know what you're gonna, what's gonna come of that. How great your creativity is gonna be across the board.
Right. Exactly.
I never heard that. That like sexual energy and creative energy are kind of the same thing.
I didn't know that.
Mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, dude, I just took a step
back,
but I'm like,
Yeah, and he was like, put that stuff on pause for a minute, and I was like, all right, I can do that.
Yeah.
And as you would have it, sure enough,
3 weeks, whatever,
all these things are coming here, and I'm like, wow, okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. You have to let me know like how things are going. I just want to like check in.
Yeah, I want to see what Europe is doing so I can potentially fulfill my dream.
100%.
Of.
I like that you just said I want to see what Europe is doing.
Well, because you never know.
Europe. So what are you guys doing tomorrow?
What are you doing?
That's great. Oh, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and just sharing basically your whole story. I had no idea about 99.9% of those things. And I'm super grateful that, we got to cross paths and.
Me too.
Yeah.
And we're not catching up in a spray tan tent.
100%.
I'm like, what are you doing?
I know.
What's your life like today?
This is it.
Now I get to see it.
I want to give you the Fellow Skelo t-shirt. And then I already described this to you, but basically what we just did together and what you do all the time is just working through all of, things that come up that are uncomfortable. When we speak from the heart, then we're able to step into our power or like totally go to Ireland and Europe and just see what those countries are doing.
What are you doing?
I love you.
I
Thank
love
you.
you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank
That
you.
was